But Hardware was such an interesting movie that it attracted a lot of attention, and because of this, Richard Stanley was... he made one other movie in the interim. I think I reviewed it here, but you haven't seen it. It's called Dust Devil. Which, for my money, is actually the more interesting of the two movies, but it virtually went unnoticed. It was heavily recut by the distributors, and a full original director's cut was only rediscovered like a couple years ago.
Dust Devil.
Dust Devil.
That'll be our next discussion. Dust Devil.
Yes.
You can make a 5-minute
yeah,
word
I'm just sort of segueing into Dust Devil. But Dust Devil is ostensibly it's a serial killer drama, but it's so much more metaphysical than that. In that it's got that same sort of like incredibly stylish directing, but its storyline and its characters are a lot more kind of otherworldly and interesting, I think. So the lead character is this South African woman who is escaping from an abusive relationship, and she goes out on the road and ends up crossing paths with this guy who's the movie strongly implies is this sort of otherworldly spirit who is a serial killer, not because he is misogynistic or wants to kill people, but he thinks he's doing people a favor by murdering them. So he typically...
Sort of like a messed up Spawn.
Well, not really.
Or maybe like that movie, sort of like The Spirit crossed with that weird cop show where this like an otherworldly ghost cop thing on TV.
Not ringing a bell.
Bad. Like lasted a season.
Well, hopefully Dust Devil was better than that.
Hopefully Dust Devil was better. Yeah.
But yeah,
sure
so anyway,
was.
the killer is just a really interesting concept because he's a man. But it's kind of implied that he's either a spirit taking the form of a man, or he's a spirit that possessed somebody, and that he is literally a dust devil. So he's like this sort of like almost desert ghost, and it's got all this really haunting atmosphere.
Western or something.
It kind of feels in a weird sort of way like a South African Western. Like the climax of the movie is in this ghost town out in the dunes, and it's really haunting, and there's all this sort of metaphysical stuff, but it never shows you like a CG demon, running around.
Well, it was before that, wasn't it? Or?
Yeah, but I don't think they would have done that anyway, because it's really more about atmosphere than anything. But it's a really interesting movie. Again, it was gutted by its own producers and distributor.
Same director.
And just disappeared. It played in like... They kept cutting it until it was... I think at one point it was like 50 minutes long, which is like ridiculous. The full-on surviving director's cut, I think, is almost 2 hours, and it's just fascinating to watch.
And you have it, of course.
I do. I bought the limited edition box as soon as they released it. Because when they announced that they'd found it, film geek that I am, I was just like, oh my god, I'm counting the days. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome when they found it.
Oh man, in a broom closet or something in a...
Or somewhere.
In a mental hospital, I think, in Brazil. Like,
that's a broom closet. Yeah.
There's a story there somewhere, I'm sure. But to segue further, to stay on Richard Stanley one more time, what happened after Dust Devil was that he was still in good with Hollywood, and his dream project that he had been spending his whole career deciding, like, I've got to make this movie, my favorite book of all time, The Island of Dr. Moreau.